Craig's been hitting 100 million a year, guys.
I was just a student. I never went to college.
I call it the opening of an envelope.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, how we doing? We're here today in New Bedford, Milestone Mortgage. We're gonna be interviewing none other than Big Daddy, Mortgage Daddy, Craig Snell. He is a top producer, loan originator in the country, actually, right here in the southeastern Massachusetts border. So you're gonna see a different side of Craig Snell than most of the industry even could understand. So we are here, southeastern Massachusetts, New Bedford, Mass, to be exact, with the one and only, the mortgage slayer, the giant of the South Coast, Mr. Craig Snell, Milestone Mortgage.
How are you, sir?
Man? Good to see you. Good
Thanks
to catch up. How's things going? We just turned the page. New year, new everything. Probably got some. You were just telling me a little bit about the strategy meeting. You guys had your corporate meeting yesterday.
We just had our quarterly meeting, get the year kicked off right. 24 was a tough year, but I mean, to be honest with you, when we kind of looked at the numbers and the growth of the company, it was, on pace for what we were looking to do, which was great. So we hit our goals for 2024, but we're putting those a lot higher up on that board next year. So, we have a lot of loan officers that have moved from other companies that have started to come in and have their best years yet, which is crazy. I've always focused on production, my own stuff, which is great, but seeing some of these guys kind of, get off the ground and really kind of turn it around. And some of the people have been at other companies for a long time, and they're having their best success and best years in kind of a hard market too. After they come here has been pretty cool.
So what do you attribute that to? Do you attribute that to like plug and play here, like systems, relationship building, marketing? I
think it's a combination kind of everything. The systems that we have, I think, make things really, really easy for a loan officer. The options we have being on the broker side, I think, is huge because, a lot of people took sign-on bonuses to go to big companies, right? Big lenders, retail shops, which is great, but then rates got bad. Now they got all these huge bills that they got to pay, so their rates are super high. So, I was just talking to a woman that joined our company in March last year, and she did more in, I think she ended up actually starting here in like April. She did more in that time period than she did in all of 2023 at the company that she was with prior, because she goes, all I was doing was losing deals left and right to rates. Now we have the options to kind of be more competitive, but also keep the speed up. Rates are tough to compete with certain credit unions and banks, but what we benefit in is the speed that we have, and the team that we have that can help kind of push things along. And when you can kind of combine those two things together, it really helps the loan officers grow their business.
Yeah, and again, it's there was a lot of turmoil in 22, 23, 24 where people were like, oh my God, my production's down, but I can get a sign-on bonus over here.
Yeah.
That'll help pay my bills. And then they go to a company that, doesn't give the support, doesn't give the marketing, doesn't give any insight, doesn't have any real relationships to help them grow. And then they end up they might be out of the business right now, or, maybe they come more hat in hand, now that they see, the production of what the company's doing.
I think that's happened a lot. Like a lot of people before, trying to get anybody that was some sort of a producer without giving them money was very difficult.
Yeah.
We don't give signing bonuses. We would never have. So, we get people to come here because they want to increase their business and they want to grow their business because, this business, same thing for you and me. I always kind of look at it as like a snowball. It's either melting and going away very quickly, or it's building. And if you're in a position where you can continue to build your business and it keeps getting bigger and bigger, then that thing's coming down that mountain. It's huge and it's very, very hard to stop.
Yeah.
But once you slow down and that thing starts melting, it melts really quick. And before you know it, you might have closed 30, 40 million before, but now you're closing 10 and you're struggling to do 10.
Because I bet a lot of those bonuses were predicated off of
their production from before.
Where rates were 2.5%
those
or 3%.
Companies are pretty sad.
Yeah, I know, because that's a lot of that. Oh, I did 50 million, and he said the next year 22 hit, 23 hit.
Yeah, 2021, anybody could do 50 million,
right?
Because where the rates were,
Yeah,
but trying to continue that in a purchase only market is really where you see. The difference.
It's sustainable though, right? I mean, we'll get refis back at some point.
It'll be great for us at some point. But
at 21, we had the perfect storm.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So let's rewind back. I mean, I want to talk about your production, obviously, because you said like some people had down years, and we'll get back into where you were. But Craig and I first met 2019. His recruiting trip, actually. Vern calls me up. He's like, DB, I got this guy, he's a firefighter. He's like, I think you're gonna like him. but I need you there to like, I know you were a correctional officer back in the day, you guys, municipal guys, we were just kind of chatting about that. And like, so we have dinner, we had a couple of drinks and kind of talked about the industry. Next thing you know, I don't know what happened. Like how long before that? I can't remember exactly. Like, was it a month that you gave your notice that you stayed on the fire department for a little bit, right?
Yeah. So I met with Vern. I was kind of looking to do something else. So I was a firefighter paramedic pretty much since I got out of high school. Yeah. That's all I ever did. My wife's a nurse. We had 2 kids at the time. And I was like, well, I got to do something. I was getting bored, I would say, kind of at the fire department. Like I loved the job, but I never loved it like some of the guys that I worked with. Like that was like their passion. It was never really my passion. Yeah. It was just a cool job, get to go hang out with some friends, shoot the shit, watch sports, cook some food, go on some calls every once in a while.
Save a cat out of the tree.
Yeah, look like a hero. Yeah. I think I got a parrot out once, tried to bite me, but I was just trying to do something different. And I never really intended on leaving the fire department. That was never my goal. I just wanted to do something that could help me make some money on top of it, that I didn't have to work on an ambulance part-time. I didn't have to go try to, do a trade that I really didn't have any skills in that I would have had to try to learn. Yeah.
Because a lot of guys do that.
Yeah.
They work their 4 days on, they get the 4 days
and
off.
Either they go work as a paramedic, at a private ambulance company. And then I just saw these guys, man, and I was working with them for so long because even before I got on the fire department, I was an EMT and then I became a paramedic. So I worked with these guys on the private side of EMS for years that were doing both, and they were just miserable. Yeah. Just because you're 4 nights a week out of your house, overnights, waking up, getting woken up in the middle of the night, having to go do things, it messes with you over time. Yeah. And I really just didn't want to do that forever. And so I wanted to cut back. I didn't want to, get out of it completely, but 2 nights, okay, you can handle 2. Yeah. When you start getting to 4, it's a lot on the body, it's a lot on the mind. So, I was looking to try to do something else, and Vernon's wife and my wife actually were friends. That's how we met. So our daughters went to Mommy and Me class together or something, and we kind of met. So we're at preschool Halloween party or parade thing, and between it we ended up all kind of going over to grab some lunch, and we start talking, and Emily's like, "Hey Vern, Craig's looking to do something different." I'm like, "What the hell are you saying this to him for?" Like I don't like asking people for things, and I wasn't really trying to really do that. And then he's like, "Oh yeah, typical Vern. Yeah, man, you should do this." Gets all excited, talks you up. I'm like, I don't know. So then fast forward, we went out, we met, and we went on that, first lunch that Vern and I had, and then we ended up going to that Christmas party. Yep. And I'm like, you know what, this could be pretty fun. So I ended up deciding to take the test and get licensed. And this was in a transition point for Vern where he was leaving Caliber.
That's right.
And he was opening up his own broker shop. Yep. So it was kind of new. So, he was looking for 1 or 2 people, I think, that were newer to kind of just come in. Because obviously, you open up a brand new broker shop, what experienced loan officer is going to want to follow you? You don't know how it's going to be. You don't know.
Vern was a monster producer.
Yeah, he was always, a huge producer in this area. And so I took the test, and then I got licensed actually before Milestone even got licensed. So I was kind of just hanging around waiting for it for a couple of months. And then March 5th, I think, or March 6th, we got our license and we started finally being able to produce loans. And I just kind of hit the ground running with it. And then that was March. October 2020, I left the fire department.
Okay, so about 18 months, so like
about a year and a half. I was going to leave a little bit earlier when COVID was. I
remember us talking about that. You're like, I'm like, when are you leaving, big dog?
It was just so hard, man, because like everybody, we've talked about this. Everybody always is like, what are you thinking? Like, how can you go and leave a pension and blah, blah, blah.
Benefits and everybody wants those jobs. That we're born and raised and taught, like, get your family, if you come from a hardworking family, they want you to like, get a job, get your benefits, get a retirement, and you'll be good.
Yeah, and then you go to a commission-based job. And I did really well. My first year, my second year, I was doing really, really good. Yeah. But everyone's like, well, you're getting lucky, or, rates are like, what happens when things change? The market, like anybody, especially real estate related, always is just waiting for that crash. So, I kind of put it off for a little bit, and then eventually I'm like, I can't keep doing this. And I bounced.
So we fast forward, we got 2021, 22, 21, 22, 23, 24, where you were like, basically, we were talking earlier. I mean, like, you are the quintessential loan officer in this term of like work hard, produce a lot of business, make a lot of relationships. And, we were just talking about, Craig's been hitting, 100 million a year, guys, for 4 consecutive years. So, and that was like, he caught that really good stretch in 20, probably in 21, but 22, 23, and 24, you've been selling 6-7% rates.
Yeah, sometimes 8.
8s, I mean, so the people out there that think that it's like not possible, or like a firefighter can't do it, or like, I mean, it's a testament to your hard work. I've seen it, some really good relationships. You answer your phone, you have put good staff behind yourself.
Yeah.
And, that's a big key. You can't just do it on your own.
No, definitely not. I mean, and that was something I had to learn, as I got into it. In the beginning, I was by myself. I mean, it was me, Vern, and one processor, and I was just like sitting there waiting for my turn to have somebody help me. And then I'm like, okay, well, I got to just go figure this out on my own. And I want to, I don't like having conversations with people when I don't know what I'm talking about. So how can I go to get to, the knowledge level that I need to have these conversations and to grow my business? So I was just like a student, which I never was. I never went to college.
Yeah.
I was never really into school. That was never really my thing. But this, I would say I got addicted to it, where, I'm like, wow, you can make good money doing this. It's not hard work. I'm not in the freezing cold. Yeah. I'm not having to get up in the middle of the night.
Carry a 500-pound guy to
yeah, I don't have to pick anybody up. I don't have to, I don't have to do that anymore. I'm like, this is different work, so I want to get really good at it. And I really tried to, and it was kind of cool because as we were starting the company, I had to learn everything, because as a company, we had to learn everything, how we were going to do things, the process, the teams we were going to build out. And we, tried some things that worked, some things that didn't work over the time period. But over time, I got to a point where I started doing, probably 10 million a month on average. And I was like, I need help. Like, I can't continue to do this by myself.
Because you were like processing, gathering paperwork.
I was, disclosing all my loans, getting all the upfront stuff, doing all the pre-approvals. I didn't have anybody that was helping me really in the beginning. So I hired one of my buddies who's also a firefighter. And he came in, trained him on doing my disclosures.
And he was iffy. Remember, he was like, I don't know if I can leave the job.
And he's still there, but he does it. He does more on the back end stuff, so he's not out, having to do a lot of the networking and relationship things that we do all the time, which really is where it becomes super time consuming, or the weekends and stuff.
No, I get it. That's a good point, because there's a lot of hard.
It's a lot more. You got the office stuff that you got to do, but then you got a lot of nights and weekends and stuff. Open houses, and it's just to be successful in this business, especially when you're first starting. It's different if you've been in for a while and you have a big book of business built up.
You got to be consumed.
You got to be go all the time. You got to be at every event. You got to be at every, office. You got to be.
I call it the opening of an envelope.
Yeah.
Like, you got to be at everything.
Every open house. It doesn't matter. You can't say no to anything.
But I also think that like all of that, training takes you out of your element of firefighting or corrections, right? I mean, you got it in you to be social, which is good. But the one point that I wanted to really touch on is like, you guys do a lot of community and charity work. And I think that goes unnoticed with a lot of people that think that, oh, Craig's just this guy, he does loans. I know friends of Jack, the Boys and Girls Clubs. I mean, you guys do a lot.
Yeah, we've done, I mean, that I would honestly say, like, I've always liked helping people, no matter what it was. Like, if somebody called me and needed a hand, or, somebody's walking down the street and they fall, like, I'm the type of person that's gonna stop and help them. Like, it doesn't matter. My wife's always like, you gotta learn to say no to people, but like, I just can't, if somebody needs help, I'm gonna help them. And I think that's like part of, what I grew up with, and then my jobs prior to this, that, I always want to help people. So this is a different help, but I still look at it that way. It's like, I'm helping somebody and it's important to them. So I kind of like take that mindset when I'm talking to them, and when I'm helping them get pre-approved, or I'm helping them, while through the loan processes, I'm helping you through this. So, I need to be that advocate for you, and I need to educate you, and I need to be able to be there for you, whether it's at 7 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock at night, because that's when you're stressed, because that's when you're not working, and that's when you're thinking about the loan. You're working all day, because you might be a construction worker, so you don't have your phone all day long.
Right.
So that's something that you kind of have to be willing to do if you want to be successful in this business.
And I think, personally, it's either in you or it isn't. You can't force something to change people. Like, you just, some people they can adapt to it. But I think if it's in you, that caring nature, that willingness to help is something that, doesn't show in the stat line. It's like one of those intangibles.
I think, money is what drives a lot of people, but that's not what drives me to do this. Like, I never, even when I started and I didn't have a lot of money and I, you know, was just starting off, like, I was never looking at it like, oh, I'm going to make this much on a loan. No, I just wanted to get another loan.
Right.
I just wanted to go get another one. I wanted to get my numbers up. I had this competition side of me. Like, played sports growing up, and I'm very competitive. I mean, I coach my son's basketball team now, and I'm probably the loudest one yelling in there the whole time, screaming because I can't shut it down. But you know, as I started to get better at what I was doing and getting more loans and more relationships, I'm like, oh, how do I want to get to number one. I don't want to sit here and just do 10 million, 20 million. I want to get to number one. So I put a goal. I was like, I want to beat Vern. And I went and I beat him. And then I haven't looked back since. I'm like, I'm not going to stop. And I'm like, who else can I want to be that top
Stop looking
person.
at some of these other guys.
It's
that
not
are
about
doing
how much money I make. It's I want to do and help as many people as I can. And that's what's important to me. And when you get those calls or you get those thank yous or you get that, back from a client, that means a lot to me. That's more to me than what that paycheck is at the end of the day.
It's like helping a kid become a better athlete or a better person. Or as you talked about earlier, as we was talking about the people that you've hired, to come in from different loan companies or different processing companies or what it may be, now it feels like you've transitioned from the guy in 2019 that was like, gotta learn it, gotta get it, continually go. And now you're like, here, good book of business, but also maintaining that and also helping the others kind of uplift them to get maybe to, 50 million or 100 million or more.
Yeah, that's a big part of what I do
like
now.
Like Vern did challenge
for me,
for you.
Yeah, and that's a big part of what I do now, which I like. I like helping people. I like training people on it. It's a lot of work. I get it. I got into it and I wasn't giving anything. I didn't go to college for this. There's a lot that you have to learn when you get into this business. You got to learn it quick.
Or it's not that easy like everybody thinks.
No, definitely not.
I know. No, just does loans.
You get into it, you make some bad promises, and also you got a bunch
closings,
of people screaming at you that you didn't deliver on it. And that's like I don't like to upset people. So I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. I want to underpromise and overdeliver, and that over time has just continued to build my reputation. I think, which has been a big benefit. Where too many people are just so worried about, oh, I can't say no, or I want that paycheck. I'm like, that's the wrong way to look at this, because money comes with success. You're not gonna, if you just are focused on that money, you're not gonna become successful.
I mean, I always say I wake up every day, maybe you do too, like, somebody's gonna take my business from me. And like, that's why like every day, doesn't matter, 20 years in the business, like I wake up every day like, oh my God, I gotta function. I gotta go, I gotta do what I gotta do to make sure that I can provide for others.
Yeah, I think it's like this pit in my stomach that I'm like, oh, this is gonna end. Like, how can I keep this going? And then it just pushes you and ignites you. And
whether it's $100,000 loan or $1 million loan, my gut feels the same way on a title, a closing, the experience, the relationships. Like the deal is, the relationship is more important.
It doesn't matter, what the loan size is or who the client is. Honestly, most of the time, the people that appreciate it the most are the lower loan amounts and, not the wealthy clients. The wealthy clients don't care as much, So those ones are the fun ones.
It's a functionality of life because they're already there. Whereas like you're helping that first person, that grew up like I did in a multifamily, get their first home or buy their own first family, their first multifamily or something along those lines.
Absolutely.
I would say we're in version like maybe Craig 2.0 or Craig 3.0 at this point, start in 2019, part-time, figure it out, 2020 towards the end, kind of cut the umbilical cord on the other job, get rolling, right? So what would Craig now, 2.0, like tell Craig that just started? Like, so for somebody's looking and they're going, hey, I've got these aspirations. Like I look at Craig, I've been following him on social media. Obviously this is more of a finished product now, but going back, like, so tell people like, where's Craig 2.0 now? Like what drives you at this point?
I mean, I would say I'm definitely a lot more mature now than I was when I first started. I'm probably a little bit more relaxed now, but I think that is not because I don't have that same drive, because I love the drive that I had when I started. Like I had this hunger and I didn't care about anybody else, not meaning here. Like, people are always like, oh, this person does business. I don't care. They're going to do business with me now. I'm going to go after that business. I want to take that business because, they're not doing a good job. I learned a lot quickly when I got in because I was brand new. but there was a lot of people that have been in the business for a long time. Right. And you look at them from a distance and you think, oh, wow, it's intimidating. But I learned quickly that they don't scare me because they're not that good at this. They've just been here. Yeah. So, I learned quickly, and I kind of sat there, and Vern started to bring on some people that had worked with him in the past, and I'm like, they're great people, but I'm like, I'm already above that, and I'm going to keep going. Like the level of either knowledge or talent or, the whole picture with a lot of people isn't necessarily there once you start to dive into it and understand the business. From the outside, you look at it, this person's been here for 20 years or, they've done 25 million, great, awesome. And maybe that's all they want to do.
Yeah. Make a good living.
Yeah, and maybe that's all they want to do, but I'm like, I can do more than that. Yeah. So I just wanted to keep going. I wish I learned that a little bit earlier when I started because, you'd be a little bit nervous about talking to some people.
Stuff's just coming fast at you too, you know what I mean?
It's and it went quick. But I don't really wish I changed too many things, besides maybe it was tough because it's one of these things, all right? I put in so much work, which means I sacrificed a lot with my family and my kids when they were young, or my older kids when they were young, and the time that I was able to be home and be at things because I had that burning pit in my stomach that when is this gonna end? I can't have this end. So I was so my drive was just insanely high at the time where I didn't want to stop and I wanted to keep growing. Now I don't, now I feel like I have a better balance, which I think I wish I had a little bit more back then. Yeah. But at the same time, having that and doing that over a short period of time, a few years has set me up to be able to have that better balance now. So I think,
So big shout out to you, Mrs. Snell, for putting up with
the
growth of your husband.
She definitely deserves a medal. And now it's nice because
that's tough when you come if you're a nurse,
you'll never do this and be successful if you don't have somebody at home that's able to understand.
Shout out to Mrs. Balkun too.
Without that, without her backing me and allowing me to go out and do these things and staying home and taking care of the kids, I would never have been able to get to that point. It's impossible. I've had guys who've come to work here and that doesn't work for their family life. Their wives is not cool with it. You're not going out, this night. Sometimes, man, it would be 3-4 nights in a row. Hey, listen, there's another, there used to be way more events than there are now.
Well, because there was more money out there, so everybody was throwing a party.
Everybody was throwing events and things were going nonstop and you have that FOMO. I don't want to miss out. If I'm not there, somebody else is going to be there.
Take my business,
And I had that hunger. So I'm happy that I had that at the time, and I think now it's nice because once you build, so if you are starting, put that drive in right away and go, you probably don't have to do it forever, then you can start to have a balance and, having a team of people now. And
if you have a significant other, I mean, that's an important conversation before you dive into this.
Yeah.
They've got to understand, especially you come from a background of again, if you have a wife that's a school teacher or a nurse or somebody that's wants a 9-to-5 life.
They're used to you being home at 5.
Yeah.
And they're not comfortable with that not happening. It's probably not the profession you should get into.
Yeah, agreed. So let's switch gears. So as we walked into this beautiful setup that you guys have, I mean, obviously we've got all sorts of sports. We've got young people out there that are energized, in the processing and, the staff. I mean, it's a really good look, you know what I mean, as far as how that goes, the beautiful building here in downtown New Bedford. So where's the Mortgage Daddy come from?
Yeah, so Mortgage Daddies is Vern and My's podcast that we've done. We started it back beginning of 2024. It was a goal that we had that we wanted to kind of do, and we had that goal for a couple of years, but it was always tough when things are busy, so we started to set some time aside to be able to, because we both were able to set up teams and staff members that are able to kind of help take some of that load off of us for us to be able to do things. He's recruiting a lot more now. I'm able to do some other things and help some people in the office more and kind of manage the day-to-day operations with the loan officers and the processing teams, as well as producing as well. So, we wanted to kind of get a podcast going, and
you want to put a little plug out there for the is there a tag or
we could pop it in there.
Yeah, go ahead.
But it's cool.
We
wanted it to be about mortgages, but not just about mortgages. We didn't want every episode and everything to just be about, today rates are this, and FHA loans and conventional loans and things that just nobody cares about. We wanted it to kind of be similar to kind of what you do, tell your success story, bring in guests. We talk about different things. We have all different types of business owners that come in. You know, we do talk about some loan stuff, and, you know, we're going to try to, you know, over probably 2025, do a little bit more one-on-one podcast with him and I, kind of telling our stories and kind of how we do things, recruit, because our culture is very important here. And, you know, Mortgage Daddies, the name of Mortgage Daddies came up. I mean, there's a few different reasons, but I always, even before I got into here, I used to joke and always kind of, you know, refer to myself as daddy and tell people call me daddy. And, you know, you always get people that are like, they first meet you, they're like,
okay, daddy.
No way.
No,
like, get out of here. Like, I'm never going to call you. And then they meet me and I don't know what it is, but we just kind of, you know, I always am joking around and having a good time. And then before you know it, people start calling you daddy. Yeah. And then it just kind of stuck, man. Yeah. So, you know, it's like, you know, the processor comes in, and then all of a sudden a week later, hey, you know, daddy, because they need something. And it's just like a funny joke in the office. And we have such a good culture here where everyone is, you know, always just.
So what does that culture look like on a daily basis? Like, what type of people are you hiring? Yeah. You know, what is the must in their application or their interview that they have to bring to the table?
Most important is definitely if they're going to be a fit here. So, you know, we run things probably a lot different than a bank runs things. Probably a lot different than certain, you know, retail lenders run things. We have a more casual vibe, obviously. I mean, I'll wear a jacket and a suit when I have to, but majority of the time I'm in jeans and a button down or a pullover. You know, and that's just kind of our comfortable, you know, casual vibe that we have here.
A lot of Milestone swag, though.
A lot of Milestone swag, you know, pullovers and sweatshirts and things like that. But we want somebody that's going to fit into our culture, you know, because we have a very close group of people that work here where we've all become family. We all hang out together all the time. We all go out all the time to do things together. You have to, you know, you're with these people a lot. You got to go to these events, working with people. And when you have people around you that support you and that are helping you, like I have guys that, I have one of my top producing loan officers here. The other day we have a brand new loan officer. He put on a first time home buyer class. He stayed and helped teach it. He doesn't get anything from it, doesn't make any money from it, but did it just because he wanted to help. You know, that's the kind of culture we have. So we do have on, you know, I would say on the, I guess if you looked at it like more on the younger side of people, but we do have, you know, a range of people, but we would rather bring somebody in without bad habits, without that negativity. You know, I kind of look at it as, you know, when I was a firefighter, the older guys all were salty and mad and angry because they just are, you know, beaten down and done. I would rather bring somebody in that's newer, maybe newer to the business and kind of coach them up and bring them up and help them, you know, show what our culture can do, because, you know, I don't know what it is, but it works. You know, we were able to build our business.
Well, I think you came from a ground level look too. Right now you're at 30,000 feet looking down and how to help, but like you came in and it's probably really encouraging to them to go, hey, look where Craig started, almost in a sense. Not that you were down and out, but you know what I mean? Like in the industry.
No, it can be done. Yeah, if I can do it, I mean, anybody can do it. It's just a matter of if you want to put the work in and you want to put the time into it. And, you know, some people will not get that and they'll look at it and they'll have a jealousy or they'll have some animosity and say, oh, well, you know, you got lucky, you started at the right time. What's the right time? You know, when is it a good time? When is it a bad time? It's just what you make of your time. I mean, I'm saying it's probably harder now to
kind of like New Year's resolutions, right? I'm going to start dieting on the 1st, you know?
The 7th, it's over.
The 7th,
it's too hard.
Yeah, exactly. So,
and there's too many people that do that. They want instant success, you know? And I think what helped me was I was still working at the fire department, so I still had a paycheck coming in. So I still could, you know, pay my bills. And this is a tough business to crack into if you jump in without anything. You know, if you don't have a savings, or you don't have another income, or you know your spouse isn't working to be able to cover the bills, because you might go a couple of months with nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get a pipeline going. Yeah, right. I mean,
and we try to help, you know, with the newer people and stuff, and you know, put them in.
And that's probably a good feeling to be able to do that, right? I mean, that's the other part of it. As you were talking about this, like just thinking about that culture of like, you know, take a loan officer that's a great producer, willing to help the next guy down. You know, like, hey, you may not be good at public speaking, but you were able to get 10 people in the room. So let me help you. I think
honestly that like that culture of how things are is like a lot to do with Vern, because that's how he is. You know, he really tries to like pull everybody up.
He does.
Like, hey, you know, they'll give him a chance. Eventually, he's cutting the cord on you. He did it to me. You know, when I started, he gave me some opportunities in the very beginning, some relationships, you know, some deals, and then cut the cord, and I'm like, oh,
the one
no.
thing I love about Vern is like you're never not going to get his energy.
No.
Like he comes in, he's just like
Always, man.
Yeah,
Guy
he's
has
tall.
so much
He's
energy.
he's a tall
6'6".
Yeah,
he's the
he's
tallest guy in the room.
But
most
he's
of the
always
time.
like he's like, let's go.
Yeah, he
like,
does. He has a ton of energy.
Yeah.
He's always, and now he's traveling around a lot.
Because you're more like a quiet.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't have that
Assassin.
kind of crazy
Vern's like gonna let you
energy.
know he's coming. I'm coming for you. We're talking about energy as everything. Like I always put that in the universe. Like energy is everything. I promote it. I live it on the day-to-day basis. Like, and we look at Vern's energy. You're definitely a different type of energy guy.
Yeah.
Your mantra is just a little more calm. But like, so how do you guys oil and water in a sense?
Yeah,
or
I always kind of say like we're like yin and yang, really.
Yeah.
He's the high energy, new ideas, wants to change things. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. I'm like, and I'm sitting back and I'm like, well, let's slow this down a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's look at what works. This
See,
works.
there's a smile, right?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely get that.
Yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of people say that to me, like, oh, you don't sound happy, or you're I'm not so positive. And if you talk to me, or right away, you might think like, how is this guy successful at mortgages? Like, he's not like, hey, how's it going? Like this bubbly, like, hey,
Right.
what's going on thing.
Yeah.
Some days it's like a little bit more like that, but as the most part, like, I kind of take a approach with how I talk to people, as a way of, hey, I'm here to educate you. I'm here to help you through this process. I want to be that calming person in this, transaction for you, because it can go up and down a lot. And if I call you with all this energy and I'm all excited about something and then that doesn't happen, like, I know I'm here to set realistic expectations for you. I'm never going to tell somebody something that's not true just to get them to like me or to try to get their business. It will never happen.
And in the sales training application part of it, they call it mirror matching, right? So like, you're not going to get on the phone. If somebody's energetic on the phone, you're probably going to be more energetic. If they're like,
yeah, you got to be a little bit.
You've got to be a chameleon, like, right?
That's funny you said that, because I kind of feel like I am like that a lot. Where and I've talked about this, with Vern and stuff. He's like, dude, you can get along with anybody. Vern's not going to get along with everybody. Not everybody's going to like him, but some people are going to love him, because of the energy. Like we talk about it, if he gets a client and they're an engineer, certain type of personality. He sends it over to me. He's like, I'm not a kid. Like, it's just different. It's a different energy. They're more detailed. They're more detail oriented. He's like, you have to deal with them because I can't do that. But that's where, I am more detail oriented. I can have those conversations. I like to break it down. I like to educate people on it. I can sit there and rattle off for 45 minutes about a loan estimate over and over and over again until people's heads are spinning. Where a lot of loan officers don't want to spend. They want that happy energy. Hey, yep, apply, like, and just go. That was when you were asking about before, one thing when you got into the business or now, what did you focus on that maybe some of the people that have been in this business for a long time didn't? That was the number one thing. I didn't want to be that high energy, fill out the application, yep, you're pre-approved. Okay, see you later. Oh, you got your offer accepted? Okay, boom, can kick you off. No, I wanted to help you and I wanted to educate you on your options. Why? That's a thing that never gets talked about. Here's your option, but I'm also going to give you the why. This is the reason as to why, so that you understand that, so that you don't sit back and you feel, because what happens is, I tell you, Danny, you're pre-approved for an FHA loan. You got to put this much down. You're only qualified for $400,000. You're going to go to work the next day. You're going to talk to somebody. You're going to go to the water cooler and the guy next to you is going to be like, oh, well, I did a conventional loan and I didn't have to put down this much and I got pre-approved for this. Well, now you're going to question me, right? You're going to have a doubt in your mind about, well, why am I only qualified for this? So you're going to text me and I got to get back into it. No. We're going to address that all right away. We're going to lay it all right out. This is why this program is the best for you. This is your other options, but this is why I don't think it's the best for you. Here's another option for you. And I'm going to lay that all down there so you know and you understand.
And it sounds cliche because everybody says they do it. It's like...
No, everybody doesn't do it.
I know.
Not
but
even
it's
close.
funny because like the girls in my office, like I'm on the phone all day. Like I am on the phone all day. And they're like, you're going to lose your voice someday. I go, yeah, but if I don't explain things to people, if I don't take the time into, coddling. I'm a coddler. Like you're probably more of like a coddler too. You want to make sure that everybody is on the same page. If you're running amok, guess how your transactions are going to go amok.
And how you handle objections is a really, really important piece in my business. And I think that's one of the things that makes me the most successful is when you get those questions, people come a little aggressive at times in a transaction.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's the realtor,
Yep.
whether it's the borrower, because they don't understand something and they're now getting this fear, so they come at you aggressive. How you handle that and how you calm that situation down and how
de-escalate.
you deflect it, how you educate them and how you give them that solution is super, super important in being successful. Because if you can't, if you match aggression with aggression,
Done. I love those calls, actually. I find myself being able to diffuse very well. And I think that's a very good trait, because people, we're in an information age. They can Google, they got review, they think they found it all. Like WebMD, now they're a doctor. Like lawyer.com.
you have no idea. Like, oh my God. So I'll tell you a little story quick. I have a client, little bit more on the difficult side about, it's his first time buying a house, which is great. I love that. Questions. And I went over it on a call with him, but he had more questions. And sometimes it's just in and out, like you're trying to explain something to somebody and they're just not grasping it. Yeah. It's confusing. This is not, you could try to talk about escrows to somebody that's bought 3 houses and they still don't get it. Yeah. So never mind trying to have that conversation with somebody the first time.
Right.
I get an email from a borrower on New Year's Day that is probably 6 pages worth of questions. Pretty much just took everything that's in the loan estimate and just like put it into some,
it or something like that.
Half of it made sense. I spent an hour and a half. I had people over my house. I spent an hour and a half, and my wife's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, no. This is on my mind now. I can't not get back to this. I need to go in and I need to just tell him and answer everything detailed because we have a tight closing. My name's on the line here. My reputation's on the line. I know the listing agent. The buyer's agent's new. I need to get this done." So I spent an hour and a half responding to this email as detailed as I could. I showed my team the next day. They're like, "Are you kidding me? You sent this email back?" I go, "Yeah, I needed to. I needed to answer it." Not a lot of people would have ever done that.
Oh my God, you sound like sounds like my house. Like
my wife, she knows, like
she just knows when I walk away. There's like, but my wife also was in the business. You know what I mean? So she understands. Like sometimes you just got to do it. You got to take the call.
If anybody asks me for something,
it'll throw me off,
dude. I can't relax after that. Like it's just like it's in my head, and I'm like I have to get, if it's a payment or sending a pre-approval or whatever, or there were questions. I'm like I have to get back to these people. You know, and that's a piece that's hard, and I've gotten better, like certain ones or certain things that aren't urgent.
I can tell you, we got 15 years apart in this business. When you're 20 years in, you're going to be the same way, because I am. If you care, you care all the way through.
You have to look at the entire picture of a transaction, what the dates are, who's involved here, what the knowledge level is of all sides, because, and I think that's something, as I got better and got more experience, you start to pick up and you start to realize hey, at times you got to be more involved in certain situations that may not be my job, but at the end of the day, this needs to close. I need to get this to the closing table. So
especially when you're the face of it, right? I mean, the people, they didn't get introduced to Milestone. They got introduced into Craig first, And it's like, if you're just gonna, and loan officers, I mean, I'm sure we'll give you this tip, like stop sending people to do the online application first. Here's my app, go fill it out, then call me. Like, you've got to take the time to do some groundwork first. Then you can get them, putty them up. You can mold them into your system. But so many guys, like, they got so used in 20 and 21 and 19 where they're like, "Oh, I'm so good. I'm doing 100 million. Just go fill out the app and then I'll check you later." Like they missed the boat on it.
My favorite is when somebody comes in for their first pre-approval appointment. They come into the office, and now
you still sit with a lot of your people.
I still do, I it depends on the person. I always give everybody the option. So I give options, more so now, just because people are busy. Schedules are tough. My schedule's not as open as it used to be with certain times. So I try to give people options, but I love when people come in because as much as I'm not that high energy person, once I get rolling and talking about mortgages and talking about it, these people love me by the end, and they're not going anywhere. Like I never lost the deal to somebody that came and sat in my office. The people that fill out an online app and you really don't have that relationship with. I mean,
they see the height of your enthusiasm too, like how passionate you are. Like people see it. It's like dating, speed dating.
Yeah, my staff will knock on my door, be like, "You've been here for an hour and a half. Is everything?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just on a roll right now. I am just cooking."
Right, and see the smile, like this, how excited he gets.
When it's about stuff like that, it's that's fun for me. Like that's what's exciting is going over that stuff and helping people figure out how, and most of the time the longer ones they're not even really pre-approved yet. We're just coming up with a game plan of how to get you there.
Right.
But hey, this is what we need to do. And people, like, the wheels are spinning, you can see it in their head, and their wheels are spinning and they're getting excited. And then they go and do it, and then they come back and they do what they need to do, and now we can do what we need to do.
Well, it's no wonder why you're, a top producer, not only locally, I mean, one of the top, I would imagine, locally top, and nationally. You know what I mean? So, like, I seen if you follow Craig on social media, or if you haven't, I mean, you're going to see some great accolades, but you're also going to see a lot of great testimonials. You're going to see a lot of people that, support your business model for sure.
Yeah, I think, I appreciate it a lot, all the support that I've had from the realtors and the buyers, and the business partners that I've had over the years, because, I've been very lucky and very successful, but without all these people, it wouldn't be possible. And that stuff helps a lot. I always say, I don't like talking about my own stuff, to people, my own successes. It's the best when somebody else is talking about it. Whether it's just saying, like, hey, he's the best loan officer, in the area, you got to call him. That's like, I got this. Like, that's the best feel.
It's the same as you would refer somebody you're confident in too. You know what
absolutely.
I mean? Yeah. So Craig, we've got a lot of insight. I know, like, this is going to come out amazing. Like, I sometimes I'm in these interviews and I'll tell Patty, I'm like, God, was that good? He's like, don't worry, man, it was unbelievable. And then, like, we'll leave a shoot like this and he'll be like, man, this one's gonna hit thousands of likes. So, like, and he's usually right on point. So I give him that. But, like, so at the end of the day, you can pick partners. Like, that's the great thing about it. I mean, obviously, new in the business, we met. So, like, why me? Like, why Dan Balkun? Like, why do you work well, or why would you, want to do business with, say, my company?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the things that we talked about that are important to me are important to you. So, the care of the clients, the speed. What a lot of people don't understand is, if you're out there and you're buying a house and you're looking for a realtor tells you, hey, I got this attorney, or you have your own attorney. Not everybody does real estate. Yeah. And there's not a lot of time in a transaction. So how fast you can get the title work back, communicate with the client, and then also at times there's situations where things get delayed. We're waiting on an appraisal. There's some issue on the seller side, and all of a sudden we get the green light. Hey, we're going to close tomorrow, and it's 8:00 at night. Well, your girls are stepping in and they're working on the package to balance it so that, there is no hiccups, and people don't see it, or you guys don't get credit for that. But that's one of the most important things, that no matter when I need something or when my team needs something from you guys, you get it right away. The communication, that's the most important thing for anybody. Anybody's going to use me. If I don't answer the call, or I don't, deliver on the time period that I say I'm going to deliver, they're never going to call me again. When you, in this business, when you're a title company and you're doing closings, the communication is very important with all sides, and then also the availability. There's attorneys' offices that shut their laptop at 4:00 and they go home and you can't get a hold of them.
Well, they don't do closings on Fridays.
Yeah, you guys will make whatever happen. You need to close here, you need to close there. The flexibility so that burden doesn't get pushed onto the client, and that's what's important to me. I don't want my clients to ever feel stressed out in a transaction. And when it goes to the 11th hour and we got to just, punt this thing over the finish line, and there's a hiccup because of some silly thing, because of a title company dropped the ball, or a title company is not responding, or they're not available, those things don't happen.
Well, you go days without getting
we can't have that, because people don't understand that. When you're buying a house, you get a date. That date is gold to you. You don't know all the things that could go wrong or could delay it.
In 30 days, what has to happen?
By the time they even said it to us, it's like 21 half the time. But you guys don't know all the things that could go wrong in that transaction, or that one little hiccup that could delay things. And if you don't have a team that's going to pick that up and rush it through and push it through and work at 8:00, 9:00 at night, to get that package done, to get you your numbers for closing at 9:00, you're not closing on your house.
Yeah. And I like, we do a lot of that together. Like, there's a lot of late night calls sometimes. Like, dude, I just got this deal. Like, what do you think? Or we had one a couple days ago that you were like, I can't get a call back from these people. Yeah. Like the attorney that was supposedly handling things, and like, why wouldn't they want to build a relationship? Again, not that I want you going anywhere else, but like, you know what I mean? Why wouldn't you want to build a relationship knowing that Craig is a workhorse, that, like, you're going to be able to log in deals, like, good result. Hey, maybe you get another one.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same thing with the realtors. Like,
it's the same way I look at it.
And that
too.
Trust in you and me is virtually more important than because the trust goes from realtor to you to me.
Yep.
If I screw that up on the bottom, man, I would explain it to you, but that is so much harder to explain it to that realtor that's sending the business. And if you screw that relationship up for you,
and that's what's tough. I've worked with title companies in the past, and they drop the ball, and then the whole then that buyer is pissed, and it doesn't matter how good I did, doesn't matter how good that realtor did.
Yeah,
that's the 11th hour, and that's all they're going to remember. So now they're not going to refer me. They're not going to refer that realtor, and we all lose because that ball was dropped on the 11th hour. And anywhere in between, obviously, that could happen as well. So, I think for anybody that's starting off, as a loan officer or a realtor, maybe you don't have relationships necessarily. Go get yourself some good relationships with people that you can trust and build those relationships, because that's very, very important in your success. Because especially once you start getting busier and busier, it's like a set it and forget it thing. Yeah. I can't be trying to track you down to do your job if I'm going to still go and close over 100 million. Right. Because if I'm calling you every other day because you're not getting back to me,
I'm getting in the way.
I'm losing money.
I'm getting in the way at that point.
And that doesn't happen with you guys. You guys have a great team. That. You're always available. You're always fun to talk to. You always bring the energy. I don't so much, but you do. So it's a good yin and yang as well.
So I'm looking for some golf balls too on the way out today. So
we got some logos.
Yeah.
I'm a man. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.